So my first slide is moving from confusion to clarity. Is it a cosmetic? Is it CBD? Food, dietary supplement, drug? Could it be a medical device or some of the above? And I again want to acknowledge you for taking your time as a professional for attending. Of course, the International Federation of Societies of Cosmetic Chemists, and especially Secretariat Helen. If it wasn't for her, and then Mr. Romanowski and Dr. M, this would not be possible in terms of their support has been amazing to me. Now, I met the Secretariat as well as Dr. Romanowski and Dr. M mentioned my book, but I just want to tell you a little story. We were all familiar with COVID-19, and I really wanted this edition to get out. In fact, it was more than I usually do a new book every 2 years, but this time I had to wait an extra year, and so I really wanted to get out because of COVID-19, but I couldn't. I really had to wait to get the best information with COVID-19 to be able to put in the book. And when I say the best information, credible sources. So it did finally come out. That's the good news. But the hard part for me was the waiting it. But I kept saying it's going to come out. And it was over a holiday weekend in the United States. And I thought, one more day. But it did. And so it's available. But anyway, I think two questions you have to ask as you're listening to my slides. One is, how is your product going to be classified? Dr. M and I were talking about this earlier today about, there's so many regulated products and there's so many regulations. And, should other regulatory agencies regulate cosmetics? In addition to the United States Food and Drug Administration, or maybe it should just be some other agency, or should it be a combination of the Food and Drug Administration? You'll find today that's a murky area. So if anything you learned today, safety is at the top of the list. And that safety comes from the legal definitions, the legal regulations. The regulations are what they are the rules that implement the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. So that's what you'll hear about. You'll hear the slang term, the regs, under what is called 21 Code of Federal Regulations. But that's a lot different than the law, because what those regs are, or rules, that's another word, they interpret what the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act is saying. And they have to have a lot of what is called constitutional due process safeguards. So the industry has to have an opportunity to comment on a rule before it gets published. So it does take a while. And the terminology is important. There are terms used in cosmetics that have no legal definition. And I think if we have time, I'll get into that. And then, who is the regulatory authority? You have to know who regulates your product. Is it just FDA? Is it a combination of other agencies? And you'll see today, you might be surprised, there are other agencies involved. So for example, I thought this would be a really good start. And that's the regulation of sunscreen products under the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. So my question is the product a drug, an OTC drug, a cosmetic, a combination, or something else? What is it? Well, under the United States law, it's actually an OTC or over-the-counter drug. But in other countries, sunscreen's regulated as a cosmetic. So that's why that fella in my little slide there is scratching his or her head, thinking, what is it? So it really, I think another point that you want to take back with you, it depends where you're going to market your product. You might want to not market in the United States, but if you do, you have to follow what the United States law is saying about that specific product. Okay, so in many sense, though, the answer is it depends. So that's why I wanted to say, where are you going to have your product marketed?